Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Ark Survival of the Fittest and what they could have added or done differently to make the game more enjoyable. Recently, the game had a makeover and after playing for a few days, I couldn't help but wish they did some things differently. So stick tuned in today's video to see the top things they could have done differently to make the game more enjoyable. Coming in at number 1, we have the crafting and level system. Now this was something they actually had in the very old version of the Ark Survival of the Fittest, and they actually had leveling and everything like that, just like a normal Ark Survival Evolved game. In the newer version, you don't have a leveling system, and you have to go around getting stuff from the drops that are falling from the sky, basically, to get more weapons. Now, you can craft a little bit, but it's very limited on what you can craft, and your inventory is pretty small overall with the whole crafting system. Now, we do kind of have a leveling system for the dinosaurs, but as for the characters, you don't really level up, and it's more so about the dinosaurs than it is the characters. This is something I really wish they added into Ark Survival of the Fittest in the new version, as I feel like it would give more things for people to do when they are actually in the game, and crafting and stuff like that, you could have more options, as I feel like the weapons and stuff is very limited in the new version. Tying in at number 2, we have guns and more weapons. Now, in the new version of Ark Survival of the Fittest, we actually have a limited amount of weapons, and I don't think we have any guns so far. The only thing closest to a gun is actually a bow, and that's kind of useless against a whole T-Rex. And I was kind of wishing that in the new version we actually had guns, because I feel like most of the game right now is about taming things in order to win instead of actually being on foot, and being able to win on foot would actually be pretty cool instead of having to worry about having a level 3 T-Rex to actually win or something around that sort. I feel like in the new version we have a very limited option of weapons, and most of the weapons are useless against basically any type of dinosaur if it's not like a dodo, that is. Mostly like carnos and raptors, which a lot of people have been using in Survival of the Fittest. So I feel like in the future they should add more weapons, or they should have added them to begin with, as I feel like you should also be able to have a chance on foot at least, because without having a tame in the new version, you're kind of dead on foot. But before we continue with the rest of my thoughts and opinions on Survival of the Fittest, please make sure to subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and do like the video. We want to get this to maybe 300 likes if possible. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, and let's get back into the video. Coming in at number 3 is actually probably an unpopular opinion, I feel like it will be, but it's no bosses. And the reason I feel like there shouldn't really be any bosses is because they're extremely easy to tame. At least if they were to have bosses, I feel like they should be a little bit harder to tame, because people literally will spawn right next to the boss and kill a ton of dinosaurs, and once they have enough points, they just have to go to the spawn where the boss is at and basically just tame it like that. There's no really challenge to it, and I feel like there should be at least somewhat of a challenge for the bosses if they're going to be in the game, because after someone has a boss, you don't really have a guarantee of winning unless you have like a level 3 Rex or a level 3 or something around the sorts, because if not, you're pretty much dead, especially from the dragon boss. I feel like without bosses we would have much more of a gameplay. It might take a little bit longer, that is, but I feel like they should at least have it where it's a little harder for them to get the bosses, and there's at least a chance for people to actually survive and win the game without a boss. Now, I'm not saying people haven't won the game without a boss, because I'm pretty sure there's many people who have won the game without having a boss, but I feel like the boss is there. It's a very hard system to go around and win if you do not have a boss. Coming in at number 4 is actually a small one, but something I actually wanted in the game, which I was disappointed didn't happen, was being able to loot dead players. Now, when you kill somebody in the new version of Survival of the Fittest, they basically just disappear, especially if you're on a dinosaur, they just disappear. There's no like bag you can loot, there's nothing, they just evaporate into air. And I feel like there should be a way to actually loot those players, so if they have certain armor that you want or something around the sorts, you can actually loot their dead bodies, and of course you could get meat from them if possible from their bodies as well, and stuff like that. I feel it'd be a little bit better than having their bodies just evaporate. At number 4, we have different game modes and different maps. Now, this is something that isn't really necessarily a big thing for me. Like, I wasn't dying because I didn't have this. But after a while of playing for 5 hours straight, of a survival of the fittest, it kind of gets boring because it's the same thing over and over again, so it's kind of repetitive. So I was thinking maybe different game modes or different maps you can play on would kind of make it more exciting for people, so if they get bored of one game mode they could switch to another, or the same with the map or something like that. This would also open up chances for more bosses, meaning like ones for different maps that we have. Again, I didn't like really bosses, but if they can make them a little harder to get, I'm fine with bosses being in the game. Some ideas for the game modes would be maybe like a slower type of pace for the game. Now the one we have right now is pretty fast, I would say, even though it's like 30 minutes or an hour long. I feel like it's pretty fast when you're in the game playing it. And I feel like there should be some game modes where there's like difficulties basically. So one of them could be extremely fast gameplay round, and then some of them could take longer than others, meaning that the rings wouldn't close so fast or they would close faster, and it would basically just make the gameplay a little bit faster or a little bit slower. Having different difficulties would make it pretty unique and also cool as well. Another game mode they could have would be something like the other suggestion I had with no bosses, where there'd be a game mode where you don't have bosses, or there would be one where you have like no tames, or it'd be underwater or something like that. Something unique and new that would make it so it's kind of fresh if you get bored of the main gameplay, and you could have different gameplays. Now some of you will be able to disagree with this or agree with certain things, and it's okay, it's totally fine. If you guys have different opinions or you want to voice your own opinions out, make sure to comment down below your thoughts on Survival of the Fittest. It is a pretty good game for me. It got boring after a few days though for me, honestly, but it is a pretty good game and I feel like they did pretty good on the makeover of the game. But that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!